Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, oh, come on and talk.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome to
Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KDLA, Top 1580, download the app.
Of the loss of Rob Reiner and his wife. And I can only imagine the sentiments and the spirit of people in Los Angeles, California, around our country and around our world who are expressing their condolences at the tragic loss of a great man. I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Reiner one time back in 1996 I'd been a member of Congress for 1 year, and I was doing an event in Los Angeles, and he came. He came with Norman Lear and other members of the World Jewish Federation, came to hear Jesse Jackson Jr. for the first time. They had obviously heard and known my father, but they didn't know much of me. And I found him to be an extraordinarily progressive, sweet, caring humanitarian, just a great individual. And so it was really difficult for me last night when I was caregiving for my father at his place of rest. And I looked up on the news and heard of his loss, and then the story began trickling out about the possibility that his son had committed this act. With breaking news, even at this hour, that the son has been arrested, and it is believed that he is going to be charged with the brutal killing of both his mother and his father. And of course, I'm sitting there looking at my father, and I'm saying to myself, who could do this to a father? Who could do this to a person? But certainly, who could do it to a parent? And thought about just how troubled his mind must have been when he made that difficult decision. Whatever it was, it ended in something very tragic that is very heavy on my heart. And when I think about the other incident of anti-Semitism, or the incident of anti-Semitism, something is alive in our world today that we are going to have to come to terms with. I remember delivering a speech some years ago on the image of God, and I compared the struggle of African Americans who left chattel slavery through a constitutional process. We are the only people who have ever been in unfreedom who've had to amend a people's constitution in order to achieve our freedom. For Jewish Americans who were also, and Jewish people who were also in chattel slavery for 400 plus years, according to the Old Testament, let my people go, let my people go. The appeal from Moses on behalf of God to soften the heart of Pharaoh is quite a different process. And yet, both African Americans and Jewish people have so much in common in terms of the similarities of their history, their belief in the God of Abraham. And what happens to one really happens to the other. If, in fact, there are incidences, and there are global incidences of the rise of anti-Semitism in the United States, you better believe that right behind that are some significant rises of racism in the United States and around the world. And just as I often share with my Jewish brothers and sisters, if racism is on the rise in the United States and around the world, you better believe that right behind that is an escalation of anti-Semitism. Somehow we are, because of our experience, intricately bound and intricately linked, divinely, in fact, by the struggle of our people, because the same God who did not like slavery in the Old Testament cannot possibly be the same God who likes it or cared much for it in the 17th, 18th, 19th, and its remaining elements in the 20th and 21st century. And so there we have, in this image of God, perspectives of the Judeo-Christian tradition that has us as a people inextricably linked, not only in suffering, but also in pain. So in this hour, our hearts go out to the Reiner family, but they also go out to those people who were the victims of that father and son brutal assault and murder of innocent people that has been dominating the news the last few days. I'm particularly honored that in this hour, our very special guest in the classroom with Dr. Ernest Krim will be Dr. Walter Fluker, the eminent historian of the life of Howard Thurman, whose lifelong research has delivered to our community and to our world an understanding of the life of the mystic. When we come forward, our very special guest will be none other than, in Mr. Krim's classroom, Dr. Walter Fluker, the eminent historian of the life of Howard Thurman. More when we come forward on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Preparation, purpose, and passion fuel greatness. Join Brandon Copeland as he shares his journey from a professional football player to real estate investor, professor, and mentor committed in protecting one's wealth on and off the field. See how he turned his experiences and lessons learned into legacy. Discover life-changing plays, moves that build the future, and the importance of financial literacy to protect what matters. Catch the two-part series at casheslife.com/double impact. Brought to you by Nationwide.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get glass.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates our own Keith Underwood, host of the weekend entertainment show Black in the Green Room, on his recent honor at the annual National Arts and Entertainment Journalism Awards. Keith received a first place award presented by the Los Angeles Press Club for his entertainment reporting, and we couldn't be prouder. Congratulations, Keith, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt?
I owe the IRS $37,000.
Get ready for a toll-free hotline. Take advantage of new IRS tax forgiveness programs that may protect you from IRS collection agencies. They have the power to garnish your wages, put liens on your property, and levy your bank account. Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS.
Civic Tax Relief basically represented me against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, I didn't owe the IRS anything.
Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
I would recommend anyone who has a tax problem to contact Civic Tax Relief.
Just call 800-285-3500. 800-285-3500. Don't wait. Call now. 800-285-3500. 800-285-3500.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me.
Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It is Moving Mountain Mondays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and we find ourselves in this hour in Mr. Krim's classroom. Ernest, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Hey, what's up, brother? It's good to be back here with you.
Man, always a pleasure. Ernest, let me introduce you now and our listening audience to one of the preeminent scholars in the United States. Walter Fluker serves as Distinguished Professor of the Howard Thurman Center at the Hartford International University of Religion and Peace, Professor Emeritus of Ethical Leadership, formerly the Martin Luther King Jr. Chair at Boston University. He was the founding executive director of the Andrew Young Center for Global Leadership Center and formerly served as the Coca-Cola Professor of Leadership Studies at Morehouse College. He's the founder of Walter Fluker and Associates and is a featured consultant, speaker, lecturer, and workshop leader, both nationally and globally. He was recently chosen as the 2023 Franklin Delano Roosevelt Freedom of Worship Award laureate. Dr. Fluker has written Ethical Leadership, The Quest for Character, Civility, Community, and The Ground Has Shifted, The Future of the Black Church in Post-Racial America. He's also edited The Unfinished Search for Common Ground. He served as the editor of the Howard Thurman Papers Project, which produced the multi-volume papers of Howard Washington Thurman from 2009 to 2016. He holds a BA from Trinity College, now Trinity International University, and MDiv from Garrett Theological Evangelical Seminary, and a PhD in social ethics from Boston University, as well as a Doctor of Humanities honoris causa from Les McRae College in North Carolina. Dr. Fluker, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Glad to be here, Jesse.
Dr. Fluker, I began the program just being struck about the loss of the Reiner family and this great tragedy last night, but I also was reflecting upon the rise of anti-Semitism in the United States and making the parallel between the rise of anti-Semitism and the rise of racism. I did a little bit of a study on the etymology of the word racism, and it's a 20th century term. I say that to say that Frederick Douglass never used it. In my survey of the writings of Howard Thurman, he rarely, if ever, used it. And maybe the term itself doesn't quite define everything that we have experienced before the term came into existence sometime around the 1930s. But I do know this. When it did come into existence in the 20th century, it was describing the condition that Jewish people were experiencing in Europe and in Nazi Germany. It wasn't the term anti-Semitism, it was racism. Of course, we used the term to define almost everything from 1935 to the present on what's taking place for African Americans in our own country. And in this moment, I was thinking about Dr. Howard Thurman, whose family had pulled together all of these coins and these little bits of money to try and send him to high school, I believe, in Daytona Beach. And when he couldn't get that ticket to carry his luggage or his trunk with him to the high school, and he began crying and sobbing, and he looked down there and saw that stranger. He credits that stranger with head and heart for changing the trajectory of his life. And that so much, Dr. Fluker, can change in a moment, just a second of time. And I want you to reflect for a moment, Dr. Fluker, if you don't mind, on how profound that moment was that Dr. Thurman saw in that stranger at the train station.
Thank you so much, Jesse, and thanks for having me back. And to Brother Krim, thanks for allowing me to be in your classroom. I'm struck by two things, Jesse, as I get to the stranger. One is race. The kind of etymology of race had to do with nations, more with what we call ethnic groupings, especially during the 19th century. But what I find interesting that you mentioned that in the 30s, maybe in the 20s, you began to see this growing anti-Semitic wave, and we know where that comes from. But at the same time, in Black life, especially in the United States, you see the incredible massacre of African Americans. Another tidal wave with the bombings of towns, the utter destruction of Black economic and political infrastructures. So there's some parallel. That's my point. And scapegoats are always convenient when you're failing in your own vision and mission. So Europe has its own challenges, its own wars, its own internal strife, and Jews become very convenient scapegoats. And I might add, we have always been the perpetual scapegoat for Europe. So it's interesting to see that kind of dynamic play out even now. It certainly has implications for our contemporary setting. Thurman and the stranger. Thurman is big on strangers. When you least expect it, the stranger shows up for Thurman. This is one instance in which it changes his entire life. This guy in overalls at a train station who sees Thurman crying, lamenting over the fact that he doesn't have enough money to get his bag to Jacksonville from Daytona Beach. And Thurman says that this man, when he saw Thurman, he walked up to him, and Thurman said he only saw the guy's boots, and his eyes went up the legs of the guy up to his face, and the guy went into his pocket on the side, came out with a tobacco pouch, and with one hand, one deft movement, he takes the tobacco, opens up some tobacco paper, rolls the tobacco into a cigarette, lights it up, and says, "Boy, what the hell is your problem?" and Thurman says he's crying, and he tells the man his trouble, and the man says, "Boy, if you want to get out of this town," and this is a Black man speaking, he says, "You want to get out of this damn town, I'm willing to help you." And Thurman saw that as the brush of the angel's wing. when you least expect it, there for Thurman, there's always a glad surprise. This is one of the ways he gets to hope. Always building up within our lives, within our narratives, but also in the social and national narrative. There is always the potential, the possibility for the glad surprise. I share that with you.
Dr. Fluker, I want to hang around, and I'll ask Ernest in just a moment after I have this little follow-up question. I want to hang around this idea of the stranger. Are we not paying attention to the stranger at this hour in the development of civilization, certainly the development of American history? It seems that the stranger, the idea of the stranger is almost offensive to us. We're uncomfortable around the stranger. Am I missing something here? Or is Howard Thurman saying to us that paying an even deeper attention to our neighbor does matter?
You're speaking to me now. The stranger for Thurman is maybe one of the most significant metaphors for talking about God. God is a stranger in this world, and God is looking for a home. And God is on the prowl, on the search. Sometimes Thurman uses the language, God is searching for us. Even in the dark corners of hell that we've painted ourselves into, God is searching for us because this is a God who is stranger, but he's also, or she is also looking for strangers. Because we are the ones indeed who are most estranged, not only from this world, but our very existence is estrangement, which for some of us we see as a kind of sin. The idea of sin as separation, alienation from self, from other, and from the God, the creator of the universe. So for Thurman, strangeness is very important. And the future, which comes to us, always comes to us in strangeness. So we should never be surprised that when a fugitive from justice is hiding out somewhere in the backfield, the hinterlands of Egypt, a bush burns and it strikes him as strange. And Abraham, I mean, just in Hebrew history, you know, the Sarah and Abraham, there are three strangers that show up. This is an ongoing theme, which Thurman finds great delight in manipulating. Here's my point. I'm an academic, so I had to play with that in my mind.
You did a great job.
But listen to this. Who is more strange or estranged in the European mind than blackness? And what is most feared? I'm not suggesting at all that Hebrews and now Jews are scapegoated and being violently assaulted, not just here, but as we know in Sydney and on and on. But there's something in the European mindscape that is frightened by the strangeness of blackness. So it might be worth exploring that more and more as we talk about race and this dirty, sick, vicious, vile, serpentine resurgence of what we know to be as a campaign to scapegoat everybody who is not European. If we miss that, that means we've been sleeping through this.
Mr. Krim?
Yeah, Dr. Fluker, thank you again for taking the time to be here with us. Jesse, you know how I get down. I could really sit back and just enjoy this conversation and take notes because this is what I love the most. This is why I'm a teacher, because I love being a student. So it's an honor to be in your presence today. I think my question in regards to Howard Thurman and this aspect of being a stranger is, for me, coming of age right around the time social media came around when I was in college. I've seen something that's just so drastically different, even from my childhood in the 90s. And that's also drastically different from the childhood a lot of my elders speak about. I'm wondering what you would say and what Howard Thurman would say about how social media and the ways in which the algorithm is manipulated serve as a way of dividing us from not seeing the beauty in our strangeness, but then also too, so that we can properly, I would say, apply the tenets of Christianity as they should be implemented.
Thank you. That's a wonderful question. And I should add that I failed to share with Jesse, I have a new book coming out. It's entitled Wake Up Running. And, it's plays on the African proverb, every morning the gazelle wakes up running from the lion, and the lion wakes up running to get his breakfast. But it's a clarion call to, I think, not just African Americans, but citizens at large in this country, that there is an ominous, urgent threat that is upon us. To respond and return to Thurman and how these themes play out in his work, I think helps me when I think of Thurman's own life. Most people are not truly aware of Thurman's biography, his story. Thurman, as a child, he said, spent most of his time in nature. This is the way he gets to religion. I'm going there. But he spends most of his time in nature because he was not invited by the other guys to play in the games. And his presence was not recognized by the girls. He was fat, he said, and he was awkward. He said when he would become nervous and anxious, his right foot would rub against his left ankle. And he was always in an awkward situation. He understood strangeness. That's my point. But as we think about the notion of strangeness being related to religious experience, Thurman's word. Thurman is a Christian, but he favors religious experience because he thinks Christian categories, as they have been interpreted by others and the ways in which they were given to us, are toxic. So he talks about religious experience. He embraces his grandmama's religion. And for him, religious experience introduces us to the strangeness of God. That God is always at work. And God is at work in life itself. God is the creator of life. And God is also not only Alpha as creator, God is also the end of life, and life never dies. So that's just backdrop. And so as we interpret Christian language about God, because all theology is talk about God, it's language about God, it's signs, it's symbols.
Dr. Fluker?
Yes.
I'm going to have to pause for our station identification. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and Lord knows, cutting off Dr. Walter Fluker is something I'm going to have to repent for. More when we come back on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
The biggest names, best conversations. You're riding with Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump is reflecting on a deadly weekend, calling it a rough day during a holiday event at the White House.
There will be a lot of damage done to the people that did it.
He offered condolences after 3 separate mass shootings. 2 American soldiers were killed while on patrol in Syria. 16 people died in a terror attack during a Hanukkah event in Sydney, and 2 more were killed in a shooting at Brown University in Rhode Island. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams says he plans to attend Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani's inauguration if Mamdani is okay with it. With just weeks left in office, Adams says he's at peace with just being a one-term mayor. And Hollywood director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were found dead at their Los Angeles home in an apparent stabbing. Former President Barack Obama reacted on X, calling the news heartbreaking and praising Reiner's legacy in film and his deep belief in the goodness of people. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the takeover? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It was a strong day yesterday for both of LA's NFL teams. We start with the Chargers. They rolled into Kansas City and eliminated the Chiefs from the playoffs with a 16-13 win. The Chargers are 10-4. Kansas City had won the AFC West title 9 straight years and have been in the playoffs every year since 2014. The Chiefs also lost quarterback Patrick Mahomes for the rest of the season. The 3-time Super Bowl champion suffered a torn ACL in his left knee late in the fourth quarter. The Rams clinched a playoff spot with their 41-34 win over Detroit at SoFi. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford threw for 368 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Rams are 11-3 and remain tied with Seattle for the best record in the NFC. LeBron hit 2 free throws with 3 seconds left to give the Lakers a 116-114 win at Phoenix. Luka Doncic had a game-high 29 points. The Lakers are 18-7. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the voice of reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
The laws have not changed in California. All workers must be paid properly and protected from retaliation. Retaliating against a worker or not paying them because of their immigration status is illegal. Don't believe the lies. California laws protect all workers, regardless of immigration status. Document retaliation and wage theft. Report it to the Labor Commissioner's office. Learn about your labor rights. Visit WageTheftIsACrime.com.
Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
Talk 1580 congratulates Malik Books on celebrating 35 years in business.
It's a celebration.
Malik Books proudly houses one of the largest African American and diverse children's books in the nation. This is the perfect time to pick up holiday reads, meaningful gifts, and to support literacy in our community. For 35 years, Malik Books has stood strong in the Black Book Revolution, uplifting stories that heal, inspire, and transform. One reader at a time. Change your thoughts, change your life. Books are the gift that keeps giving. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, congratulations to Malik Books on 35 years of culture, pride, and community.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the beat. Come on and talk with me.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580. We are in Mr. Krim's classroom on Moving Mountain Mondays, and I'm particularly honored that the eminent historian, Dr. Walter Fluker, is our very special guest in this hour. Dr. Fluker, just before we had to go to break, you were making a point about the biography, if you will, the road, the path, the life of Howard Thurman.
Thank you very much, Jesse. And I was using the biography of Thurman to give us a lens through which we better understand his interpretation of Jesus. Jesus is a surprise to history for Thurman. Jesus appears as a stranger. It's interesting, we're in Advent season on the Christian calendar, and it occurred to me that in the Christian expression of God, Jesus is the highest revelation. And when Jesus shows up, a teenage girl carries Emmanuel. How strange is that? He's born in a stable, in a manger, where God surprises the world. The Son of God is born in a manger. African-American enslaved Africans, they saw that and said, look at his pretty little fingers, born in a manger. We understood the strangeness. Or the shepherds who were outsiders, they received the first announcement. God is the God of the stranger. The Magi would be a mysterious star leads them into strange territory without a map. So my point is, as we reflect upon Thurman, please know that Thurman is not trying to fit into a traditional box of religiosity, of being saved, filled with the Holy Ghost and a mighty burning fire. All of that works, but at the end of the day, we must be open to the strangeness of God, which is the basis for what he calls the growing edge, which is hope. I just finished this book I told you on Wake Up Running. It's in press. And I interviewed your dad in London in the early 90s. And I have an entire section where I talk about your dad and his incredible witness in Resurrection City. And he told me in that interview that it was Thurman's deep thinking about Jesus and the disinherited and Thurman's grandma's story that inspired him around the language of hope. And I hope I do him justice. Please let him know that. But what he basically was saying is that what Thurman was able to do was to take the very fiber of the gospel, transplant it into the experience of Black people, and give them a savior who was not just concerned about their immortal souls, but concerned about their Black bodies, the broken bodies, the diseased bodies, the disinherited bodies, and to give them a sense of hope. And that's also what I pray each day that we find when we go to Thurman to interpret the gospel of Jesus Christ. Because the gospel of Jesus Christ is good news, but that's not the only place on earth where good news broke in for Thurman. He thought we brought good news to this country. We might very well, Jesse, be the strangers that this country has been waiting for, looking for, and has forgotten and abused over and over again, especially in the midst of this fascist masquerade that we're experiencing now.
I'm grateful for the latitude that Mr. Krim is giving me in his classroom to quiz Dr. Fluker. Dr. Fluker, just before I turn it back over to Ernest, I do know that Reverend Teresa Hord Owens, of the President and General Minister of the Disciples of Christ Church, both in the United States and Canada, is going to join us, I believe, momentarily, maybe even in the last segment of the program. Let me just ask you this question, because I want you to know just how hard you hit me in the head before the break. And that is that when we think about the story of the Samaritan, we often talk about the values, the altruism that Dr. King probably broke down better than anyone in terms of his extreme altruism for what he did for the stranger on the Jericho road. But when you just gave us the metaphor that the stranger who appears is God, that while we tell the story often from the perspective of the Samaritan and the good deeds of the Samaritan, that it is God that is on the side of the road, and he is observing the behavior of the priest and the Levite and everyone who walks by him. But what makes the Samaritan so different is that he sees God on the side of the road. And that's a very different relationship, Dr. Fluker.
I love that. Maybe the Samaritan saw himself on the side of the road. And we are all, what is human existence except this deep, throbbing feeling that we lost something? The strangeness comes out of a deep sense of having lost something, being alienated from something that is the very fiber of who we are. You mentioned the Imago Dei a moment ago. We're children of God, but we're children of God who are estranged from God because we are estranged from ourselves and from the other. We fear the other. The other is always strange to us. And if we cannot find our way, like the Good Samaritan, to see ourselves in the other and in the stranger, we're lost forever. Jesus brought us a new way of understanding how we treat and care for the stranger, which was also a part of his own Hebrew tradition.
We have about 3 minutes before we come forward. Mr. Krim?
Yeah, this is all just so very rich and profound. I think as I'm listening to you and I think about the stranger, I reflect so much on Dr. Thurman's impact on Dr. King. And I think that we are often doing a disservice to his legacy unless we look back and read more about someone who played such an influential role on his theology, spirituality, and his political philosophy. For me, I normally work with kids, K through 12 setting, mostly middle school and high school kids. I'm always wondering, how do we assume the role of Dr. Thurman and find, I don't want to say the next king, right? I don't like that, but like, how do we find leaders who just need someone to believe in them to step up to the forefront like Dr. King did? What can we learn from Dr. Thurman's approach in that capacity?
For Thurman, for King, and for this tradition which produced the Thurmans and the King, they knew something that I think our generations have forgotten. That our real work is to run through the valley, through the shadow of death, if necessary, to find those emerging leaders who are already there. I spent 13 years at Morehouse College, helped develop a leadership center, and we would take young men and women always, not only to the continent of Africa, to different nations, but to Europe and other places around the world, because we know that these leaders, when we find them, we've got to also connect them with others who are looking up at a new way of being in the world. My last comment, and I'm aware time is out. You mentioned social media earlier. I'm of the opinion that maybe instead of worrying about how anxious our young people are, maybe we need to find a way to join them and learn from them. Our greatest work will probably be looking, listening, and learning from what we sometimes, I think, pejoratively call the anxious generation.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward on Moving Mountain Mondays, Reverend Terry Hord Owens is going to join the conversation. She is the president and general minister of the Disciples of Christ in the United States and Canada. More when we come forward on Mr. Grinn's Classroom and with Dr. Walter Fluker.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Cedars-Sinai is helping shape the future of Los Angeles, working alongside local communities and showing up with resources and healthcare programs that open doors for people across the city. Through career development programs like Next Gen Healthcare Pathways and partnerships with over 200 organizations like Black Men in White Coats, Cedars-Sinai is educating and empowering future healthcare leaders right here in LA. With access to education, mentorships, and hands-on experiences, we can build a healthier Los Angeles together. Cedars-Sinai, here for LA.
10 athletes will face the toughest job interview in fitness that will push past physical and mental breaking points. You are the fittest of the fit. Only one of you will leave here with an iFit contract for $250,000.
This is when mindset comes in.
Someone will be eliminated.
Pressure is coming down.
This is Trainer Games.
Watch it on Prime Video starting January 8th.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Febreze car clips right on your face. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah, breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. King Volley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk.
Moving Mountain Mondays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We find ourselves once again in Mr. Krim's classroom. Our very special guest in this hour is the eminent theologian, biblical scholar, as well as the scholastic mind behind the documentation of the works of Howard Thurman. To put them all in volumes and series matters to the future of the spirit energy of our people. I'm particularly grateful that Dr. Walter Fluker is our very special guest, but joining us in this final segment and then for her own show with Terry Hord Owens. Reverend Teresa Hord Owens is the General Minister and President of the Christian Church, Disciples of Christ in the United States and Canada, an author and advocate for church living out its calling. She is the first person of color and second woman to lead the denomination. I have more to say about Reverend Terry Hord Owens when we come forward in the next hour, but I want her to spend some of this precious time with Dr. Walter Fluker.
Oh my goodness, Mr. Krim's classroom is rich today. My goodness. Such an honor, Dr. Fluker. I've admired your work and your wife as well, and just really grateful to share this air and this time with you. I've been listening, and I'm on sabbatical right now. So my Advent reading has been Howard Thurman's The Mood of Christmas.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know you were on the show, but my head has been in Howard Thurman for the past month or so. So I'm just grateful to learn from you, my brothers. This has been rich.
What a blessing to meet you. What a blessing.
And Dr. Sharon Fluker and I serve on the board of Friendship Press, which is the printing imprint of the National Council of Churches. So I've gotten to know her in addition to her work through that work as well. So good to meet you.
I tell everyone there's really only one star in this family, and it's not me.
Madam President, we were having a conversation with Dr. Fluker about, I guess, inverting the idea that the stranger is some kind of other, but that the stranger itself or himself or herself or themselves are actually God observing us. I don't want to overstate what Dr. Fluker said about it or even understate it, but he's got my head spinning that it's not just the good deed that we do, but that we are actually seeing the embodiment of God, him or herself, in the stranger. And our obligation is not to turn our back on the stranger, but to engage God in that moment.
Oh, absolutely. This is what Jesus says in Matthew 25, right? That when you have fed the hungry, when you have clothed those who need that, when you have sheltered the unhoused, when you have taken care of others, you've taken care of me, at least the last and the lost. Jesus is family. Famously, we know, immigrant family. I've seen stories of many churches that have actually shifted their nativity displays in front of their church, really with signs that say the Holy Family is in hiding. They're hiding from heists and other really powerful expressions of resistance. But that at the heart, liberation theology, and particularly Black liberation theology, as we all know, James Cone struggled after Dr. King's assassination. Can I be Black and can I still be Christian? And he came to understand through Luke 4 that Jesus was himself identifying with the stranger, with the poor. And I love what was said earlier about the strangeness. I'm always talking about whiteness is such a stain on this society. We just can't get back. So anything that is not white and does conform is strange, and so therefore is devalued. And that's Jesus is God's perfect revelation to us of who God is and what God cares about. And I think Jesus gives us all kinds of examples about how God is in fact observing, and that God doesn't show up where God is expected most of the time. Or when God shows up, he shows up in unexpected ways. Let me just say that.
Dr. Fluker?
Yeah, I'm thank you, Dr. Owens, for these words. I could just listen to you. I was wanted to go back to Mr. Krim, whatever you want to be called. I'm not big on these doctor things, but I know it's necessary in some conversations. But listen, I think that one of the most eloquent statements about strangeness is the enslaved Africans' experience of the manger in these spirituals. Remember, I spent a lot of time in Morehouse. That's all we do down here in Atlanta. We still have the spirituals. Cone went back to the spirituals and the blues. That's where, and Thurman was the progenitor of the work on the spirituals. Negro spiritual speaks of life and death. He didn't just stay with the theology that his oppressors gave him. He went back to those old songs. And so listen to this. Sweet little Jesus boy, born in a manger. Then they said, they didn't know who you was.
Yeah.
And then they have a little line that says, they treat you mean, Jesus. They treat me mean too. Sweet little Jesus boy. They didn't know. And this is the point.
Yeah.
That when God comes to us in God's strangeness, God is summoning us to pay attention, certainly to the stranger outside of us, but the strangeness that exists within us, which I believe is the image of God, which is calling to itself, from the other within us. That is Howard Thurman. But I think it's true even if Thurman hadn't said it. God is calling for God's self. God is looking for God's self.
Yeah.
It's like God lost something and God is looking for it. And God cannot be all that God wants to be in the world until God finds this. And God will not give up on us.
Doc, when is your next book being released?
September. It's on Broadleaf Press. September. It's entitled Wake Up Running, Building Democratic Space at the Crossings of Madness and Hope.
Dr. Fluker, how can we support your work?
Please just tell everybody, run through the hills and the valleys and tell everybody that the book is coming. And it's a sequel to The Ground Has Shifted. If people read The Ground Has Shifted, it's a message to Black people, but not Black people alone. It's also a message to our allies.
Dr. Fluker, I'm hoping that you will come back and join us on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show when your book is released, but as often and whenever you'd like.
Please invite me back. And God bless you. And again, give your dad my very best. Let him know I'm not just praying for him, I'm in hope.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fluker. Our very special guest in Mr. Krim's classroom has been Dr. Walter Fluker, eminent Howard Thurman.
Thank you, Dr. Krim.
Scholar, as well as philosopher, thinker, and contributor in major ways to African-American spirituality. In the second hour, the next hour, we will be back on Moving Mountain Mondays with Reverend Terry Hord Owens on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Ernest, I can't thank you enough for today.
Thanks again. I was just thinking, I missed church yesterday. Y'all must have known.
Amen.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward with the General, President, and Minister of the Disciples of Christ.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump is reflecting on a deadly weekend, calling it a rough day during a holiday event at the White House.
There will be a lot of damage done to the people that did it.
He offered condolences after 3 separate mass shootings. 2 American soldiers were killed while on patrol in Syria. 16 people died in a terror attack during a Hanukkah event in Sydney, and 2 more were killed in a shooting at Brown University in Rhode Island. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams says he plans to attend Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani's inauguration if Mamdani is okay with it. With just weeks left in office, Adams says he's at peace with just being a one-term mayor. And Hollywood director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were found dead at their Los Angeles home in an apparent stabbing. Former President Barack Obama reacted on X, calling the news heartbreaking and praising Reiner's legacy in film and his deep belief in the goodness of people. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It was a strong day yesterday for both of LA's NFL teams. We start with the Chargers. They rolled into Kansas City and eliminated the Chiefs from the playoffs with a 16-13 win. The Chargers are 10-4. Kansas City had won the AFC West title 9 straight years and have been in the playoffs every year since 2014. The Chiefs also lost quarterback Patrick Mahomes for the rest of the season. The 3-time Super Bowl champion suffered a torn ACL in his left knee late in the fourth quarter. The Rams clinched a playoff spot with their 41-34 win over Detroit at SoFi. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford threw for 368 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Rams are 11-3 and remain tied with Seattle for the best record in the NFC. LeBron hit 2 free throws with 3 seconds left to give the Lakers a 116-114 win at Phoenix. Luka Doncic had a game-high 29 points. The Lakers are 18-7. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This holiday season, KBLA Talk 1580 wishes you and yours joy, peace, and prosperity. As we celebrate with family and friends, we're already looking forward to an exciting first quarter, packed with must-attend events to kick off the new year just right. In January, join us for our inaugural Brotherhood Brunch, bringing together community leaders, change makers, and everyday people for inspiration and connection. February means it's time for our signature Black History Month luncheon, a powerful celebration you won't want to miss. And in March, Women's History Month, we're once again hosting our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium and Luncheon, addressing the issues that matter most inside our community. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, happy holidays. Stay tuned for more details on these incredible upcoming events. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice, your community, your power.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 Come on and talk with me. Come on and
Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on Moving Mondays. The Faith Not to Fall, Reverend Teresa Hall Owens, the President and General Minister of the Disciples of Christ Church, both in the United States and Canada. Particularly grateful that she is joining us in this hour in her regularly scheduled program. And during the break, Gina Towns, our producer, shared with me that we're going to be blessed with Dr. Walter Fluker for another half an hour, and I'm particularly excited about that. And so welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Dr. Walter Fluker, Reverend Teresa Hord Owens, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Dr. Fluker?
Oh my goodness.
Terry, how are you?
I'm good, Jesse. How are you? I'm well. Like I said, my Advent reading has been Howard Thurman, because the theme of we have what we call a special offering within Disciples. We invite congregations to give, and that money stays in their local region or their middle judicatory. And the regional ministers themselves, again, it's predominantly a white denomination, but they chose the theme, the work of Christmas. And so I have tried to highlight in a video that I did before my sabbatical started, just to remind people of what Thurman says about, after the angels have sung and after the shepherds have gone, there's still the work to do, to feed the lost, to find the lost, to take care of the hungry, to find justice in the world. So, well, God knows what God is doing. You are here to feed my spirit. I'll just claim that, Elder Fluker. And in fact, I had made a note as I was going through the mood of Christmas and made a note on the growing edge. And that is my personal theme for my sabbatical time.
Wow.
You know, you're weary, you're tired. There's so much. Church is a lot. People are a lot. And as a Black woman leading a predominantly white institution, it's a lot. And so that this reading has really fed my spirit during the sabbatical time. And so that's in addition to rest, I've been wrestling with that idea of what's the growing edge. It's like when you think you're at the end, that sense of hope, of that breath that you think may not be there, that strength, that reach that you think may not be there. So this is just a gift to hear you. I have a question for you, if I might, Jesse.
Oh, I'm just really enjoying you talk about the work of Christmas and the growing edge, which is also one of my very favorite meditations in Thurman.
Yeah, I just wanted to spend that time. And one of the things that I've been struggling with as both a minister who's done congregational work, I was a second career minister. And so really came to ministry in sort of a very non-traditional kind of path. But I really believe, and I think Thurman believes this, that at the heart of everything is what we believe about God. And you talked about, you know, the strangeness of God, and how I'm curious about how we help people to have this kind of inner life, right? This inner journey that Thurman understood so well and modeled for us so well, as a sort of understanding is the foundation, right, for the work of justice that we do. And it's, I used to joke and say, if I preached, you know, Isaiah in the year the King Uzziah died, I wouldn't have to say anything other than that in a Black church. All you would say is, in the year the King Uzziah died.
Then say,
yeah, and that's all you would have to say, because our understanding and our tradition of the word, of the power of the word, and even of the power of worship. However, you know, we can have critiques about it being overly performative and overly this and that, but we understand holiness. We understand sacred space and sacred presence. And I think part of our challenge, even as Black people, is kind of pulling those things together that says, that said, if God indeed isn't holy, then, you know, God is showing us through Jesus what we must do. And I find that in the white church, it's the opposite challenge. I've got to remind you that all this wonderful thing that you think you're doing, the food pantry, the this, the that, you think you're good people, but you've not come yet to understand the holiness. And I love this idea of the strangeness of God. You've not entered in to have that particular journey that will undergird why you're doing what you're doing. Because if you were to do that, then the racism, I think Thurman says this somewhere, it's like, if you were to understand God and the sanctity of God, then there's no way that you could abide racism. There's no way that you could abide misogyny, because you would understand God's holiness and God's ineffable nature. Unknowingness means that you can't withhold, you don't, and I say this in my book, you don't have the right to exclude or not love anything. So I've rambled on too long, but just curious to engage.
Please ramble. I'm good at listening. I love your point about, I like to call it the interiority of religious experience. We
Yeah.
need a spiritual and moral infrastructure if we're going to do the work of transformation in society. It's dangerous to go out without a spiritual and moral infrastructure. So in my work in ethical leadership, that's what I do. I spoke with the Evangelical Lutherans this summer. And it was a similar conference that you all have as well. But I spent time talking about how do you feed this deep spiritual yearning of the human, we like to say, soul. We're thirsty. We're like the deer. Thurman has a great little story, and Jesse will have to go to break after I tell this, but he says, and this goes back to 1934, he says in the early spring, the young deer, roe deer, Indian deer, male, goes crazy. There's a scent in his nostrils that he can't let go. And he runs over hill and valley and mountain until he falls out exhausted, looking for the source of the scent. It's mating season, but he finds the scent in his own hide. This thing that we're looking for, it confuses us because we look at the other, thinking the other has what we need, and the other does have what we need because it's the same thing that's within all of us. And I think this quest for deep spirituality may be the most important work we can do at this time. Deep calls unto deep. And we've got to do, Katie Cannon called it soul-filled work, the art of soul-filled
work.
And my prayer is that for you in your work, that you'll hold out that banner, because this is what people also want.
More with Reverend Terry Hort Owens and Dr. Walter Fluker when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates our own Keith Underwood, host of the weekend entertainment show Black in the Green Room, on his recent honor at the annual National Arts and Entertainment Journalism Awards. Keith received a first place award presented by the Los Angeles Press Club for his entertainment reporting, and we couldn't be prouder. Congratulations, Keith, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt?
I owe the IRS $37,000.
Get ready for a toll-free hotline. Take advantage of new IRS tax forgiveness programs that may protect you from IRS collection agencies. They have the power to garnish your wages, put liens on your property, and levy your bank account. Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS.
Civic Tax Relief basically represented me against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, I didn't owe the IRS anything.
Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
I would recommend anyone who has a tax problem to contact Civic Tax Relief.
Just call 800-285-3500. 800-285-3500. Don't wait. Call now. 800-285-3500. 800-285-3500.
Preparation, purpose, and passion fuel greatness. Join Brandon Copeland as he shares his journey from a professional football player to real estate investor, professor, and mentor committed in protecting one's wealth on and off the field. See how he turned his experiences and lessons learned into legacy. Discover life-changing plays, moves that build the future, and the importance of financial literacy to protect what matters. Catch the two-part series at CassiusLife.com/double impact. Brought to you by Nationwide.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
10 athletes will face the toughest job interview in fitness that will push past physical and mental breaking points. You are the fittest of the fit. Only one of you will leave here with an iFit contract for $250,000.
This is when mindset comes in.
Someone will be eliminated.
Pressure is coming down.
This is Trainer Games.
Watch it on Prime Video starting January 8th.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly Folly drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Moving Mountain Mondays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show with Reverend Terry Owen, the Faith Not to Fall, and our very special guest in the balance of this half an hour will be and continues to be Dr. Walter Fluker. And Dr. Walter Fluker is the eminent Howard Thurman theologian and scholar in the United States and, by definition, in the world. And I must say that the opportunity and the honor to spend time with Dr. Fluker is about as close to the late Howard Thurman as you're ever going to get. And he is just that heavy. And with that said, I want to welcome Dr. Fluker back, and certainly, Madam President, welcome you back as well. Let me just read this very quickly, and then Dr. Fluker and Reverend Owens, let me allow you to do what you do best. When the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flock, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among brothers, to make music in the heart. Dr. Fluker, what was Dr. Thurman trying to convey to us when he wrote these words?
That Christmas is not limited to ceremony. Rituals, dogma, doctrine, all these things for Thurman are like garments that we wear loosely. Sometimes we put them on, sometimes we take them off, but the experience of the holy is always present and available for us if we dare pay attention. I mentioned Moses early. I sometimes think that Moses probably had walked past that bush 1,000 times and it was on fire, but this day he noticed. And I suspect that in our own lives, the presence of the holy is already there. How could it not be? But we miss it because we are distracted with so many things that actually don't matter. Anyone who's ever pastored really knows this, but it really doesn't matter ultimately. So that's what I think he's after. He's after the not just the meaning, that's kind of head stuff, but the experience, the deep, throbbing experience of the holy. And to be struck by the holy is simultaneously, for Thurman, and I think true for all, is to be struck by grace, to be awakened by grace. Because it's not your doing. Oh, what a wonderful thing to receive a gift that you didn't have anything to do with, but somehow you receive it in spite of. And I think that's part of what Thurman is after.
Madam President?
Yeah, I so appreciate that. I was actually gonna ask that same question, Jesse. And Thurman spends a lot of time, at least, and again, this has been my Advent reading, the mood of Christmas, about even reveling, getting beyond the ceremony, but we should all have an experience, right, of angels. And this sense of glory for him. It's not just the putting some feathered wings on the backs of children in a pageant, but really trying to imagine and get inside the glory that was revealed to these people, and the awesome, like you say, the awesome experience and the presence of God that was revealed, in that moment. And I so appreciate. Again, my diagnosis of my denomination, and William Barber always teases me about that, because I say our church, and I'll just limit it to the Disciples of Christ, I won't own anybody else, but we are spiritually dry and biblically illiterate. And until we fix the inner spiritual problem, the institutions that we're trying so hard to prop up all around We want young people to enter into association with us when, and you said it earlier, people are seeking this sense of awe and connection. I mean, even Augustine said, right, something to the effect that our souls are lost. We're lost. We don't know our full selves until we find our rest in God. And I really do think that inner spirituality that will help people understand that the work then is really what God is about, but we can't fully understand the magnitude of that until we get to this. It ceases to be political if you understand this inner power of God. It's not about whether I'm a Democrat or liberal or conservative. I'm just trying to see the kingdom of God become real on the earth. If in fact I can get to that inner place.
The first meeting I ever had with Thurman, he asked me what I wanted to be, and I gave him the kind of naive response that everybody does. And he looked at me for a long time and said, "But what do you want? What do you want?" And part of what he was asking, what is it that you hunger for all the time? It's always there. How do you feel the hunger of your heart? Institutions are good, but for Thurman, and this was his word as well, he said they are significant, but ultimately they're artificial. The deep. And Thomas Merton says it this way. He says, "What negligence is this? Run to the mountain and see God."
Let me ask this.
That's what I'm saying.
Dr. Fluker, let me ask this question, because my father also knew Dr. Howard Thurman, and he said he was amazed by two things. One, he said Dr. Thurman used to speak with trees. He used to go outside and talk to trees. But he also did something my father said he had never seen someone do before. He preached his own funeral. And everyone had to sit there in the congregation and listen to what Howard Thurman had to say about Howard Thurman.
He's such a character. So is your dad, by the way.
I have a quote for you, Doc, and then I know that our time draws near. The movement of the Spirit of God in the hearts of men and women often calls them to act against the spirit of their times or causes them to anticipate a spirit which is yet in the making.
Whoa.
In a moment of dedication, they are given wisdom and courage to dare a deed that challenges, to rekindle a hope that inspires. Are we living in such a time,
oh my God,
as this?
Oh my God. And Dr. Owens, I want you to chime in. Oh my God. Yes. Oh, yeah. Thurman knew stuff, right? And so he's playing with you like it's one of his favorite analogies. It's like the cat plays with the little mouse. Just plays with. He's playing with you. He knows stuff. He not only talked to trees and to animals, he believed that if this same thing that is within us is also in all of creation, why is it not possible that we can communicate with the same species or the different species? Because this, theologically, we call it a sacramentalistic ontology. The glory of God is in all of creation and is shouting, but we are deaf to it because we're not listening deeply.
Reverend Owens?
Yeah, and I think it all gets back to even, and again, my frame of reference is always this multiracial, predominantly white environment where I'm trying to break through, I think, with some of these things that are so powerful in our tradition, not because I think everybody needs to be like Black people, but because I think everybody needs to really understand the importance of God. Everything begins with what we understand about God. And if we embrace this power, this mystery, this strangeness of God, then we are able to see the glory in creation, and we are able to see, even from a policy standpoint, the necessity for preserving water and air and creation, because it's God. It's the reflection it's part of all of God's creation. And if you don't have a respect or an understanding really for the holiness of God, you're stunted. You're stunted even in your moral understanding. And I always say, I don't care what your tradition is. I'm a Christian minister, but if you don't have some understanding of the holy, however you call it, however you define it, it's very difficult to move through life without any kind of coherent moral or ethical framework. And that's not proselytizing. That's not saying that you're laying forth one holy text over another or one holy ritual over another, but something that's strange and beyond yourself.
Yeah. Yes.
If you don't have some respect for that, you're stunted. You're just dry.
Let me just add some of what I think I just heard, and I might be stretching it. And maybe I misinterpreted what I did here. And that is this, that our sense of spirituality as Black people, I want to bring it on home to the immigrant community, to the National Guard, to the capital of the United States. Our sense of spirituality through kings that we lived under from 1619 to the Declaration of Independence. We understand kings. So no King's Day, hey, it's a big deal, but we know kings, and some folk ain't never known a king. They've only known presidents, and we've known 15 of them that tolerated slavery. So we know presidents too. So we're on this journey together. And then there's this after Lincoln presidency, which is always a different iteration of some form of the same. But I'm thinking that this spiritual journey, we're not going to run through the Capitol.
Wow.
And we've had plenty of opportunities to run through the Capitol and destroy it. On this Thurman journey, this pre-existent thinking to justify the ends, we give it some thought before we do. We reflect on the journey. We know that while we use the term forgiveness for people, forgiveness existed in the world before Jesus of Nazareth. But the forceful way within which Jesus brings it forward 2,025 years ago, along with love and mercy and redemption, it is impossible to imagine the world before the Nazarene. It's impossible.
Wow.
Because he owns it now because of how he taught us to apply it. Dr. Fluker, we don't have but 2 minutes left, and I know that your time draws near, but we always
I'm going to use every last bit of my 2 minutes to read something with your dad.
Okay.
We're talking about a bomb in Gilead. I say, sitting there in his hotel suite, that memory stirred something in Jackson's spirit as he rocked in his chair and began to visualize the moment he climbed onto a makeshift platform, looked out at a weary crowd, and called out, "My brothers and sisters, I know that you're tired and cold. I know that some of you have run out of money and can't afford food, but don't give up. Keep hope alive. Yes, keep hope alive." That's still the word. That's what Advent is.
Yes, yes.
That's who Jesus is. Keep hope alive.
Dr. Fluker, we are so grateful. I see your lovely wife on our screen at this moment. Share with us very quickly the award that you both received. We're so proud of you.
We were both pleasantly surprised, and it's the Beautiful Are the Feet Award, which will also honor Bishop Michael Curry and Dr. Cynthia Hale. February the 25th, I believe, in Chicago at the McCormick Center. We'll be there, and that's my beloved. I almost feel like she should have gotten it all by herself. But I'm glad to be tagging along.
We're going to make it a point to try and join you on that very special.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Cynthia Hale, I must say, is a disciple. We have to know
that. Bless her heart.
I'm Jesse. We're very grateful to Dr. Walter Fluker for joining us when we come forward on the KBLA Talk 1580. More with the Faith Not to Fall with Reverend Teresa Howard Owens.
Stay in that light.
It's Team Drive Time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Providence, Rhode Island police have released the person of interest in the Brown University shooting that left 2 dead and 9 others injured. Mayor Brett Smiley says the investigation is still ongoing, but the public remains safe.
So we want to inform the community that that individual will shortly be released from Providence Police.
The university, while not an HBCU, became the first non-HBCU member of the HBCU Library Alliance and launched the Health Equity Scholars Program with Tougaloo College to promote diversity in public health. Black Maryland Governor Wes Moore says he and the First Lady are praying for the Brown University shooting victims and have offered support to Rhode Island's governor. And funk and R&B legend Carl Carlton has died at 72. Known for hits like Everlasting Love and She's a Bad Mama Jamma, his music remains influential, often sampled and featured in film and television. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It was a strong day yesterday for both of LA's NFL teams. We start with the Chargers. They rolled into Kansas City and eliminated the Chiefs from the playoffs with a 16-13 win. The Chargers are 10-4. Kansas City had won the AFC West title 9 straight years and have been in the playoffs every year since 2014. The Chiefs also lost quarterback Patrick Mahomes for the rest of the season. The 3-time Super Bowl champion suffered a torn ACL in his left knee late in the fourth quarter. The Rams clinched a playoff spot with their 41-34 win over Detroit at SoFi. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford threw for 368 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Rams are 11-3 and remain tied with Seattle for the best record in the NFC. LeBron hit 2 free throws with 3 seconds left to give the Lakers a 116-114 win at Phoenix. Luka Doncic had a game-high 29 points. The Lakers are 18-7. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
This holiday season, KBLA Talk 1580 wishes you and yours joy, peace, and prosperity. As we celebrate with family and friends, we're already looking forward to an exciting first quarter, packed with must-attend events to kick off the new year just right. In January, join us for our inaugural Brotherhood Brunch, bringing together community leaders, change makers, and everyday people for inspiration and connection. February means it's time for our signature Black History Month luncheon, a powerful celebration you won't want to miss. And in March, Women's History Month, we're once again hosting our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium and Luncheon, addressing the issues that matter most inside our community. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, happy holidays. Stay tuned for more details on these incredible upcoming events. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice, your community, your power.
JP Morgan Chase offers tips for the local business owners in 2025. Small business landscape is ever changing, and the Los Angeles market is no exception. A startup or legacy business, revisiting your mission statement and recalibrating offerings can renew opportunities for growth and innovations. Programs like Chase for Business Coaching for Impact gives entrepreneurs access to expert guidance, helping you streamline operations, strategize your growth, and navigate complex challenges. Businesses with a clear sense of purpose can navigate any challenge effectively, but also build stronger customer loyalty. Visit chase.com/coaching for impact for more information. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates Malik Books on celebrating 35 years in business.
It's a celebration.
Malik Books proudly houses one of the largest African American and diverse children's books in the nation. This is the perfect time to pick up holiday reads, meaningful gifts, and to support literacy in our community. For 35 years, Malik Books has stood strong in the Black Book Revolution, uplifting stories that heal grow, inspire, and transform, one reader at a time. Change your thoughts, change your life. Books are the gift that keeps giving. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, congratulations to Malik Books on 35 years of culture, pride, and community.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to Moving Mountain Mondays and the Faith Not to Fall with Reverend Teresa Terry Ford Owens, the General Minister of the Disciples of Christ Church. I am so grateful that we spent the last hour and a half with Dr. Walter Fluker, and I'm very much interested in Reverend Terry Hord Owens's interpretation and thoughts, building out the final segments of our program. But I do want to share with you how excited I am about this program. One of my martial arts instructors, I have 3 degrees in Taekwondo, writes, "Dear Jesse Jackson Jr., you are a great man. I felt that from the moment we met in 1993. From then until now, your dedication and integrity have continued to leave a strong impression on me. Respectfully, Nam Soo Hyung, Grand Master." He also writes in the comments, "Anti-Semitism is power driven by fear. Martial arts are power guided by self-control." And I wanted to read particularly the thoughts about anti-Semitism, Reverend Owens, because in a real sense, I heard from Dr. Fluker that there are constraints on our faith. There are constraints on our spirit, a different kind of shackle. I'm not talking about a shackle that is binding in the form of some kind of chattel slavery. I'm talking about the reflection that we operate in when we take action in love, in spirit, and how we act in that context, or even in this political context, also matters as a function of the interpretation, Madam President, of our faith.
Oh, absolutely. I think we have, and there are, one of the challenges that Christianity has is really to reclaim really the message of Jesus, and really the sanctity of God. There's so much. I have a grandnephew who joined church and is going to be baptized, and he's all excited. And his grandmother is his great grandmother is a solid Pentecostal. And she began by telling him, "Well, you're a Christian now. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do this." And we've so orchestrated our understanding of our faith about what's not included and who is not included and what is condemned and what is not. And we are not embracing this inclusion and the inclusivity of God's love. And anytime we draw an understanding of faith that's excluded and puts people on the outward edge, on the borders, and say what's right and what's good and what is not, as opposed to living with this more expansive understanding of what the Holy loves and can take and deal with, I think we're in trouble. And that's how we're responding. We claim our faith and we're responding out of rejection instead of acceptance. We're responding out of exclusion instead of inclusion. And we've yielded to these rules that are really man-made, that have really nothing to do with the message of Jesus, or the message of most other faith traditions in terms of how we deal with others in this society.
Madam President, we may end up actually doing everything that the stranger would do. And the stranger may be doing some of everything. And I'm hearing you say that we are called, if the stranger is in the image of God, to recognize that divinity within them, even though the constraints of the church itself may have determined that that individual is outside of God's grace. And I say that because what? I need to register some hustlers. I need to register to vote some pimps, some prostitutes. I got to get some money. I got to go speak to and get some folk involved whose spirits are broken. They're valley in the dry bones. They need to be re-engaged. We got millions of people who could have voted differently in about 9 states, and I wouldn't be anxious every morning about the next tweet that's coming across. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on and on. Somebody got to go get them. We got to get them, round them up, bring them into the fold. A lot of Democrats don't want to bring them into the fold. We'd rather, I don't want to deal with the debt-paid felon community. I don't want to deal with the LGBTQIA community. Hey, the farmers voted for Trump, and now they're getting burned. Too bad. No, not too bad. We got to go get them, and we don't have much time to go get them because we need them to vote with us.
That's right. And once the reason we're responding to that is you're so focused on party. It's like, well, why are you a Democrat? Why are you, Black folks were staunch Republicans, right? Somebody tries to pin that turn from Republican to Democrat, or at least the major wave, as when John Kennedy made the call to help support Dr. King when he was jailed in I think it was Birmingham, or may have been another city. But actually, Black folks made that change a lot earlier with Franklin Roosevelt. And when you began to see your self-interest being served, that's important. But those of us who are in a place where we have a platform and we can speak, whether you're trying to get people to come to church or get people out to vote, you have to see the sanctity of God in them, see their humanity is full and rich, regardless of where they live, how they vote, what zip code they're in, what they may or may not have done with their money. No one is beyond a redemption. If we saw George Wallace years ago, right, go through. Some people question the redemption, but he said, "I changed my mind. I was wrong. I understood that." If Donald Trump tomorrow were to tell us that he had really changed his mind, we would need to see some, because repentance and change is about action that follows that. You haven't repented unless you're no longer doing those things, or we see a clear line of that. But I'm not going to withhold the possibility of redemption for anyone. But in my engagement and my responsibility to show love for you, my responsibility to work for a world where you're okay, that's my faith talking. I have that responsibility no matter who you are or what you do. And if I have an evangelical, in the true sense of the word, agenda, which would be to say, I want you to understand Jesus as I understand Jesus, the best way I could do that is to say, man, I'm working for policies that will allow you to have a living wage, that will allow you to be able to afford safe housing, that will allow your kids to get the best education no matter where you live, that will allow you to be respected in your workplace. And I'm doing that because I've been called to work for a certain kind of society, and my faith calls me to do that. But you're right, we can't be afraid and despise those people who are in greatest need of, that kind of advocacy that, if based on the sanctity of their humanity, is what people are looking for. See me, hear me, respect me, listen to me.
I'm thinking in this moment that we will win the midterms, not by the margin of our anger at Donald Trump and MAGA. We're going to win or lose by how we treat the stranger. That's going to be a bigger message for me now. The stranger, the man who, in a moment, in a second, in a brief conversation, changed the life of Howard Thurman and changed the trajectory of his path because he bought him a ticket for his trunk to go to college or to go to high school. And how many strangers are we meeting and speaking to on a daily basis as Democrats that we are turning our back on because we are self-righteous, because men and women did some time, or the LGBTQIA, we don't like the way they marry or who they want to. We will win or lose in the final analysis by how we treat the stranger. And until we see the stranger as our neighbor and even as an embodiment of the divine itself, herself, himself, the way we treat and speak to the stranger is going to be a factor in whether or not we win political elections. You can believe that. Now, whether they extrapolate upon it and build upon the hermeneutic, that's a whole nother thing. But it took all of this hour and a half to get to this right here. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our guest and our regular contributor, Reverend Terry Hoard Owens. More on the Faith Not to Fall when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
So you need last-minute gifts. No judgment. Get an extra 25% off during Kohl's Friends and Family Sale and find great gifts under $20. Like something cozy, something thoughtful, something that says you planned this all along. Yep, you're just one quick trip away from checking off the last gifts on your list. Save now at Kohl's and Kohl's.com. Select styles. Offer ends December 24th. Some exclusions apply. See store Kohl's.com for details.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right. La 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 la. Days of business all over Febreze car. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah, breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr.
Reverend Terry Hoard Owens, our regular contributor on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Madam President, I'm thinking in this moment that your book, Staying at the Table, gives significant consideration to the idea of the commonality, the brotherhood, I don't want to say of man, but that has been the traditional sense of it. But the brotherhood of our personhood. And there is a uniqueness to staying at the table in terms of the prophetic nature of your work that matters at this hour. Share that with us if you don't mind, Madam President.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, I begin the book by talking about everything that we believe must begin with what we believe about God. And if we do believe that God is all-knowing and effable, this mysterious, wonderful, sacred presence, and as Christians, even if we believe that Jesus is that revelation that has come to show us what the world can be like because of Christ, and because that presence is among us, then it requires us to see in each other both our humanity and to value and not to see differences as deficient, to not draw lines around who's in or who's out. Because if God's love is limitless, then our acceptance must be limitless. And staying at the table does not depend upon my liking you or agreeing with you, but rather recognizing that the table, first of all, is not mine. It's a table that was set by the holy, and I'm required to be at that table. If you do, some people say, well, Terry, what if I'm disrespected at the table? What if my seat is prickly at the table? What if I'm not welcome at the table? To leave the table, you give in to those who are trying to shift the table. And as long as you understand that it's really God's table and that all humanity belongs there, your presence continues to make that message and to fight for that truth. So I firmly believe in everything you're saying, that this is the source that comes from God. It's not a political opinion. It is not any kind of religious doctrine. It is simply what I believe is the reality of what God has done. And if we start there, then as I say, there's certain roads you can't take. If you believe God's love is limitless, just as God is limitless, certain things you can't do, certain roads you can't take. And all theology is using language, making sense of what you believe about God. And if that is what you believe about God, then there are just certain things that you cannot do. Our problem is that we think being people of faith is tied to these institutions that we've created, and being members on the rolls and even giving money to them and participating in the institution's projects. And if we don't have any connection really to what is centering that faith and the holiness that we claim that we project, we don't have that, then it makes the work ineffective and ineffectual and inauthentic. And that is what people are responding to when they see an institution that is inauthentic, an institution that violates even what it says it believes. Because if we say we believe in love, certain things we're not going to do.
I'm absolutely in agreement with that. There are certain things that we're not going to do. There are limits to how far we're willing to go. Now, without these precepts brought into our lives in a very forceful way 2025 years ago, it would be the wild, wild west out here. And for some people, it is. In fact, we can distinguish between the constraints that the systems and the belief systems of the precepts of this religion that we implore in our lives. We see the same precepts not implored in other people's lives, and we are able to say that's unchristian.
Yeah,
that's not right, because of the constraints that we define essentially, Madam President, as our own unique morality. That is the limit to which we are willing to do and go, of course, from my perspective, to stay at the table.
Yeah. And my litmus test for that action is, how inclusive is it? How inclusive is it? If you're saying that that's not Christian, why are you saying it's not Christian? I say it's not Christian because you're excluding people. I say it's not Christian because you're condemning people. I say it's not Christian because you're violating God's, first of all that God is, and you're violating even Jesus' direct commandment. They'll know that we are Christians by love. Love one another as I have loved you. Jesus had a love that was tough. Jesus spoke truth to power. Jesus let people know when they were they were off the track, but he never ever excluded them from the fellowship of his presence or of those that he loved. And so when we say we're excluding, I've been so really tickled to death and empowered by seeing all these little, and I'm hoping they're not just AI memes of cardinals and Catholic churches shooing away ICE when they've come on their premises, and people in churches saying, absolutely not. This is a place of sanctity. This violates God. Absolutely not. I will not allow you to do that. So the question is, what are you including and what are you excluding? I'm afraid of people who have such an exclusive God that you're making everything outside your own little sense of what you think is right. You're condemning that and saying that God rejects that, when that's not how God operates at all.
I heard from Dr. Fluker that we really, really, really on this God quest have to pay attention to the stranger.
Yes, yes.
That there is an embodiment of this divine energy.
And Jesus gave us that example, right? When they asked, well, who's my neighbor, right? What's that look like, Jesus? All this stuff you're talking about. And he gives them an example of the very person that they excluded, right? The Jews hated Samaritans so much that even though the most direct path from Galilee to Jerusalem was through Samaria, they went around Samaria. They took extra pains to even avoid the territory. So that even the idea that we have to say the good Samaritan reflects how othered and how strange, the Samaritan was in that parable. So we have to be careful of what we're saying is normal and in, and just the thing that God has said that you said is strange is probably the place where God is working.
In this moment, I'm thinking about how the show began, because it's ending the same way. I'm thinking about the revelers, those who were celebrating Hanukkah in Sydney. I'm thinking about the wickedness and the evil of the father and son team that began shooting at the audience. But I'm also thinking about the stranger who wrestled one of the shooters to the ground.
Yeah.
The Arab, who may or may not have known it was Hanukkah, who may or may not have known that it was an anti-Semitic attack. But what he saw in that moment was the brotherhood of man, that someone crazed and out of their damn mind is shooting people.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to risk it all by stopping this. That's the stranger. Now that's in the moment that happened, Madam President. And now we can look back on it and see it as a vile anti-Semitic attack. But in the moment when the action occurred, we don't know if he had given consideration to his Jewish brothers and sisters. We don't know what the stranger on the Jericho roads race was. What we knew was something was wrong. And we had to intervene in that moment for all of humanity. And it was the right thing to do.
Right.
Madam President, we have about a minute and a half. Come forward.
And that's the power of that parable of the Samaritan, is that Jesus didn't care who that person was. He said that good that he did reflected the way in which Jesus wanted us to treat our neighbors. And I think that's a powerful thing. And when people can see that we can embrace not only the good that you do, but I don't care what language you speak, what your home nationality is, what religion you practice. My faith, my morality extends so far because I believe God extends that far, and that I'm not the one who limits whom God loves. And so I'm grateful for that stranger. And I believe we could write a parable about him, no matter who he is or what his background, that would affirm what he was doing is the way of Jesus.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to The Faith Not to Fall with Reverend Terry Hord Owens. She is one of our greatest contributors on KBLA Talk 1580. Reverend Owens, thank you for joining us this Monday on The Faith Not to Fall.
Thank you. It's been a rich couple of hours. Appreciate you.
Look forward to seeing you next week. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
KBLA 80 Santa Monica.